Hey, good afternoon to you. It's Friday.
It is Friday.
It's Friday. I'm Tanya Rivera with Eric Chilton and Lauren Coleman.
Happy Friday, everybody watching at home, Fire Stick, Roku, and the WFNY News 2 app.
All right, so we talked about rain for a while, right? That's helped lower the threat of an explosion at the Weaver Fertilizer Plant, but that rain is starting to move out.
Okay, so we'll check in with you and the weather in just a second, but first we want to get to those details on that Weaver fire. The Forsyth County Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection predicts good air quality today through the weekend. That's great news after the fertilizer plant fire has burned for over 3 days. This means there's little air pollution risk, and families were allowed to return home last night. Officials reduced the 1-mile evacuation radius down to 660 feet. The smaller evacuation zone only includes a few commercial businesses. This morning, the Red Cross closed its shelter at the fairgrounds.
Well, crews have now the chance to get on and in, right, the side of the plant and investigate what caused that fire. Now, while the question of how it all started still remains, we know the answer of who is impacted.
WFNY News 2's Marissa Tanzino is on top of recovery efforts and the community strength. Marissa.
We're having some trouble with Marissa's shot there. They say, though, that things are starting to return in the area after the evacuation zone. I think we got her back again. Let's try one more time.
Going at this time, I'll step out of the way so you can take a look now. We are getting a better look at some of the damage here now that the sun has come up. Crews have been using everything from drones to manpower on the ground now that they can get into this site to put this fire out once and for all. Louisville Fire and the Greensboro Fire Department gave me a look at the operation from their perspective. Infrared technology helps them pinpoint hotspots they might not see with the naked eye. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office, Winston-Salem Police, Louisville Fire, and Greensboro Fire were all called to the scene early on. And this team approach with these drones has really been crucial in this firefight. Firefighters had to back out of the area after a period of time because the chemicals in this fertilizer plant had the potential to explode. The drone helped them keep their eyes on the fire and relay what they were seeing to the experts.
We were actually able to fly the drone around to look at different components of the building that was burning, specifically the rail car. So we were actually able to provide those visual information that didn't require them to put any firemen at risk.
And things are really starting to return to normal in this area now that that evacuation zone has been reduced from that 1-mile radius to 600 feet. And that fire had a massive, massive response, not just Monday night when it started, but all week long. We'll have more from those first responders that were here on scene that first night and throughout the week coming up at 5.
To me, the coolest thing is how the technology helped everything. Can you imagine? I mean, 10 years ago, we didn't have the drones to fly around to be able to do that and to keep those firefighters safe.
And you know, that's what, in my opinion, that's what puts it into perspective for all of us. When you get that up top view, you can really see where it's going, how it's affecting people and all that. Yeah, you're right, Tanya, like that's a whole new look at things, literally.
Looking at the images from Marissa's live shot, it's sad to see that building come down, but it's been amazing to see that response. We saw how emotional the fire chief got, and it really just shows the passion that these firemen have, that they're really out here to protect and to serve us all.
Yeah, and you said that the view of the building that is no more, I mean, it just looks like mangled metal. Like you can't even tell.
You don't even know that was a building.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. It also amazes me, and maybe it's because of the fertilizer, you know, I'm not an expert in this, but how long that smoke lingers, you know, even after it looks like the fire is mostly under control. It's you think it's over and it's not.
Yeah, I think the infrared video from yesterday showed it the best, and you could see all the hot spots everywhere, and you could clearly see that it wasn't just one spot, it was kind of all over that area.
And now that they got this out, the next part is the cleanup and just everybody coming together and just what happens to all the people who were evacuated as they relocate.
Trying to make things kind of go back to normal, as it would.
There is a normal.
All right, well, speaking of that, as families make their way back home, there are some things that they should be doing to protect themselves and keep the chemicals out of their homes. For instance, Simple thing like taking off your shoes at the door so you don't track everything in. We've made a safety guide for folks so that you can text the word clean to 336-379-5775. We'll send you a link with the information that you may not have even known that you needed. And this is something that you should probably keep for just anything else anyway. I love the idea of not tracking in extra things from outside. Remember, this is a text only line, and you can send the word clean to this number.
Well, changes in our forecast as we see the rain starting to taper off. It'll be leaving as we head into the night tonight, and we're pretty dry as we head into the weekend. It looks like rain-free, we would say, and that would be for Saturday and for Sunday. We're watching as far as temperatures are concerned. We're going to see things go south pretty quickly as far as the temperatures go, and we're having some technical difficulty. There we go. All right, we'll show you the maps. You're looking at 61 degrees in Greensboro. Look at Raleigh. Now, a moment ago, well, Sanford has that reading now because these are live streaming temperature updates, but Sanford's almost to 70, right? 67 degrees. And you look up toward Boone, it's 37. Yeah, guess where the cold air is? Yeah, it's moving back down to the south and to the east. Winds are going to be a little bit of an issue as we head into the night and tomorrow. We could see some wind gusts upwards of 30 miles per hour. Already just sustained winds. Whoop, hello. Let's back up here. Sustained winds are at 17 in Lexington, 12 in Winston-Salem, and Boone at 20 miles per hour. Asheboro at 12. Okay, heading into the night tonight, 28 degrees. Again, that rain does taper off and winds pick up. Tomorrow we can see those wind gusts 10 to 15 and steady, and then gusting up to 25. And high temperatures tomorrow only in the upper 30s. I mean, 39 degrees for your Saturday. Far cry from where we have been. The rain right now, you can see it stretches from Greensboro to Lexington and back down to the south and to the west, but behind that, clearer and colder conditions. We'll show you the weekend forecast and a look into next week in just a minute with our 7-day outlook.
According to the American Heart Association, heart disease is the #1 killer of women in the U.S. It's National Wear Red Day to raise awareness. As you can see, many of us are wearing red here in the studio. So I spoke with one triad woman about her fight with heart disease and how African American women are disproportionately affected.
Living with an illness is not foreign to Xavier Carter of Forsyth County. For years, she struggled with lupus and fibromyalgia. Then in 2018, she said her body started doing something unfamiliar.
I was having problems, going upstairs, heart palpitations, heavy breathing and stuff like that.
After a series of hospital visits, doctors discovered 75% of one of her arteries was blocked. The news came as a shock.
I don't smoke, I'm overweight some, but I've been working on that. I was doing line dancing for 2 days a week.
2 stents have since been placed in Carter's heart. She's participated in cardiac rehab, where she says she's learned to live a healthier life.
I'm a new person. I feel like a new person, especially since eating right, exercising. I can think better. It's just, I've been rejuvenated.
Heart disease disproportionately affects African Americans, with nearly 50,000 Black women dying annually. According to the American Heart Association, obesity and high blood pressure are contributing factors, and much more.
For too long, Black women have existed in a cycle of trauma. And this is from racial injustices to the global pandemic that we're in today. And that impacts your physical as well as your mental health.
This National Wear Red Day, Carter's message to all women.
Know your body. Make sure you go and get checked out.
According to the American Heart Association, some of the signs of heart disease are chest discomfort, discomfort in other areas of the upper body, like one or both arms, the neck, back, and jaw, as well as nausea or lightheadedness. For more resources and information on heart disease prevention, just look for the story on our website. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this for me was her talking about know your body, get checked out. When she started having that heavy breathing and some issues, she said she had to go to the doctor multiple times. They were like, nothing's really wrong with you, but she said she needed another opinion, and she said, we know our bodies as women and we know when something is off.
I also think those symptoms can be so many different things.
Oh my gosh,
You know,
yes,
that's the
and they
first,
could be masked as something
absolutely.
else.
It's the first thing I think of. I'm like, well, shortness of breath can be overweight, it could be, and then nausea can be something. I mean, that's tough. So, but you get all that together, then you pay attention.
And I think that just women as a whole, they are always caring for other people. And so
Absolutely.
they think of themselves kind of like, yeah, I know that this is a problem. Oh, I'll just fix it later.
That's right.
Right? And fixing it later is not the answer.
My mother
Absolutely.
had lots of heart issues. That was her primary thing, which scares me because I am built like my mom, not like my dad, and so I've always been trying to watch heart situations, you know.
I've done a lot of these Go Red stories before, and a lot of those women say they were caretaking for other people or they were working multiple jobs and also in
Right.
school. And I know in the Black community, I don't know if you ever heard of the Superwoman complex, they do it all, and they sometimes put their emotions to the side and their feelings to the side and don't, you know, address their body issues and get checked out. So
That's interesting. Well, everybody should pay attention to signs of anything. It never hurts to go to the doctor and just ask.
And women, love yourself enough, right? Love
Yes.
yourself enough because your family and your
Self-care.
friends, they love you, right? And they don't want anything to happen to you. So love yourself enough to do that.
and practice self-care. Treat
Yes.
yourself. You got to do it.
Hey, wait, before anybody says anything, I've got my pen on.
got your red dress
I was
on?
looking at
Yeah.
that. I was like,
Where's
that's
your
I've
red,
got my-
Eric.
What camera? There we go. Yeah, I've got the pen, just to make sure you know. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. You know, we hear about this a lot. Access to quality health care is an issue for some sectors of society, but understanding that and fixing it is something that we need to address. I spoke with oncologist Dr. Elizabeth Skinner with Novant Health about this issue and the possible solutions. Dr. Skinner, thank you for taking time out today. So let's talk about this. You were describing that there are inequalities in care, not only in the United States, but around the world. Can you describe that situation for us?
Yeah, inequalities in care can come from a lot of different reasons, and a lot of different factors play into that. Some things can be like socioeconomic, health literacy. How much do people understand the risks that are associated with different diseases? And simple things like access to care. How far away do they live from the clinic? How hard is it for them to get to the clinic? What type of insurance do they have? All these things can play into inequities, which can have devastating effects on outcomes.
So how do we fix this? I know it sounds like such a big, broad topic, and we have to do it in little chunks, I guess, but how do we fix this?
You're right. I think it's something that has to be broken down, and I think the first thing is doing exactly what's happening here, which is making people aware. I don't think that people recognize that even in local communities, there can be these healthcare inequities. And then you look on a more broader community, you look at the national level, you look at the world level. And I think we just have to first recognize this and then pick pieces of the puzzles that can be fixed and start working on those.
And are there little programs going on now that can kind of start chipping away at this issue?
With Novant Health, one of the things that we have been able to do is set up a mobile mammogram screening. This is allowing us to go into the community and reach patients and women where they live, as opposed to having them come to us. Another thing that we've been able to do at the Cancer Center is develop a free Pap smear screening clinic. And this is something that we have offered to women who are uninsured, who haven't been able to get Pap smears. And we've been able to reach out to these women and provide care and hopefully intervene before bad things start to happen.
This is great stuff. Good news. Thank you for your time today, Dr. Skinner. We appreciate it. Yeah, it's funny. One of the things she said, she was, what we're doing right now, she said, is step one, just to make people aware that it is as big of an issue as it was. It's one thing to say, we know there are gaps in the system in some sectors, whether you're talking about race or where you live or education level, she said that can do it, socioeconomic issues, but just knowing how bad it is makes people want to do something.
I thought the transportation part really stuck out to me, something that some people take for granted because not everybody has a car. Some people live in those rural areas where there is not a bus line to get to the doctor, to get to a good grocery store that has healthy foods. So it's nice to see that they're going out into the community and meeting the people where they are.
Especially when they're talking about, like, you need to go see a specialist, and then that you need to go this person, and then you need to go see that person. I mean, like you said, someone without transportation, someone with limited time and funds, you're not going to be able to do that unless they make some changes.
And as the oldest person in the room right now, I can tell you that it gets worse as you get older. You have to have access to that stuff. You're going more often than you ever did before.
And I think part of it too is just that it's complicated, right? Healthcare is complicated, right? And so a lot of times we just kind of throw up our hands and we're like, well, I'll just deal with it later, or I just won't do that, or whatever else. And that right there is an issue.
Yeah, and like you said, knowing the resources that are available to you that can help you out. Like there is money out there, there's grants out there that can help solve your problems.
And in our next half hour, I talked to Dr. Skinner again, but this time we're talking about advances in treatment for cancer. You'll be shocked when you hear some of the things that some types of cancer are close to being cured.
Which is fantastic to hear, because we haven't heard that. The only thing I want to say is be your own advocate. Ask as many questions as possible. So if your doctor's office says, well, you need to do this, then you can say, well, is there a way for me to get there? Is there a way for me to do it online? Is there a way for me such and such? I mean, sometimes you just have to keep asking questions until they get the idea that you need that help.
That's right.
Right.
Good
All right,
stuff.
we do want to share with you a recent update from our very own cancer fighter, Julie Luck. You may have seen her Facebook post saying she is still recovering from surgery and she's preparing for the next steps of her treatment. Julie adds in this post that there's a silver lining in all of this. She has received an outpouring of love and support and had many others tell her that they have scheduled their own colonoscopies. After Julie's recent diagnosis, she said one of the greatest gifts she could think of is knowing people are scheduling their health screenings when it's time. So Julie certainly appreciates all of your support. We ask you to please continue to pray for her, and we ask you to do the thing that she wants you to do, which is get screened. And just in case she happens to be watching right now, Julie, your News 2 family and this community, we are behind you. A group of Virginia moms is working to end book bans from schools and libraries. Book Ban Busters, that's what they're calling themselves, is a campaign that wants to put an end to banned books because, as one parent explains, the books are not assigned books, but rather they are on bookshelves in schools and county libraries. Parents within the organization say other parents have the ability to dictate what their children read, but should not push to remove a book from a shelf and take the opportunity to read that book away from another child who wants to read it. Thoughts on that?
I will go out on a limb and say I like this because I like the idea. If it's not assigned and the child doesn't have to read it, then it can be an option. And if you're going to be a good parent, you know what you should know what your kids are reading, and you put your own views on that.
It's kind of like movies too. Like
Yes.
you might not be able to watch a PG or R-rated movie at school, but at home your parents pretty much determine if you're allowed to watch that.
We will look at a PG-13 movie. For Tyler, it'll be 12 in a little bit, and we'll look at it first or read about it. I can't think of the website. You probably know it. Leslie swears
Oh, that
by
helps with the parents with
yes,
the movies.
I
okay.
can't remember the name. I'm sorry. I'll try to look it up and put it on social media. But we go to that and read that before we. And some PG-13 is okay for him.
Yeah, and books and movies are just the same, right? It's whatever is age appropriate for your child, right? And your child may be age mature or less mature,
that's
depending
right.
on even what the number age is. And it should be up to the parents and, to decide with their kids what is appropriate
That's
for
what
them
I
to
I
read.
agree with that. Instead of just taking it off the shelves altogether, because there's a lot of good literature out there
Sure.
that are on some of these ban lists.
I agree. All right. You weigh in on Facebook. We'll be right back.
It's Friday, and boy, what a week it has been. We've seen the resilience in our community shine this week, responding to the Winston-Salem fire. And we've also seen the smaller everyday blessings shining through your lives. WFNY News 2's Megan Malaris makes it her mission each week to find the good, bringing joy to you.
It's the start of a new month, a time to reset and reflect. Even in the challenging times, there are blessings all around us if we open up our eyes to see them. I asked you on my Facebook page, Mega Maleros News, to tell me something good, big or small, that happened in your life recently. Duncan and Terry Bryan spent 8 days with their precious 15-month-old grandson. Larry and his wife recovered from COVID. Joan is expecting her first grandbaby in March. Phyllis went for her first pedicure in months, and when it was time to pay, she learned someone already had paid for her. Glenda found her long-lost brother, and they plan to meet in July to make up for 50 years of lost time. Joy had a left eye cataract removed and can see better. Mary's back procedure turned out well. Sean's beautiful golden retriever Abby turned 1 year old. Glenn had some baby goats. And Scott joined our Good Morning Show team for the After GMS digital show. He said we really start his morning on a great note.
All right, we'll go down the line, talk about something good.
I was just running my mouth
We
and
were
it almost
talking.
came out on air.
Yeah, very close.
Well, someone's got a birthday this
That's
weekend.
right, Sunday.
I have a milestone birthday this
Yeah.
weekend, so on Sunday, so
Well, let
Happy
me know.
birthday ahead of
send me
time.
some gifts if you'd like.
Let me know.
I won't say no to that.
Gifts are always good.
Let me know how 20 feels. Just
Okay.
let me know. how that-
Right.
20, I'm turning,
you know.
I was about to say 15, that might be too
I
young.
was gonna say, hold on, hold
Careful,
right there.
careful.
So little things, right? So for me, pizza tonight. We're having
Ooh,
pizza.
Friday pizza
That is
night
never
is a good
bad.
thing.
Yes.
I love Friday pizza night. Last weekend, I got to do Chinese New Year. So this is what I do with like my nieces and my nephews. And we get together once a year and we do something that none of us have done before. So we went to a place that does ice cream and they use liquid nitrogen.
Oh,
So we had like a
yes.
science class and we got to make our own ice
that's
cream and we did it
fun.
all together. And it's just great when you have kids in your life, right? They don't have to be your kids.
Was that local?
It was
that you did
local.
that?
It's in Winston.
Oh, I want to.
Is that when it gets like,
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
the
see all the
smoke.
smoke
Okay, yeah,
everywhere
that's
and all that kind of
cool.
jazz, and it was just fun.
That is cool.
something
I love
else
that.
to check out?
See, she has. I
Put
love-
on that long list
A long list of stuff
that
to
I
do.
have.
Her list goes down the hall. and out
Hey,
the
it's your
door.
birthday weekend. You can check some of those things off the list.
Absolutely.
At least 3 or 4 of them. All right.
Eric's going to sing her happy birthday in the break.
No, she doesn't want that.
Join
she
in
can
on
sing.
Facebook to hear him.
She can sing. She doesn't need me. We'll take a break. We'll see you in 2 minutes.
One, two, three, four. Now that the evacuation zone has been reduced, some families are returning to their homes in Winston-Salem.
Hey there, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the 4 to 5. Eric Chilton with Lauren Coleman and Tanya Rivera.
Yeah, welcome back, whether you're watching at home, online, Fire Stick, Roku, WFOY News 2 app, and we're on Facebook. So join the conversation and chat with us.
All the places. We're going to continue following the progress made at the Weaver Fertilizer Plant fire several days now after the fire broke out on Monday night. Firefighters are able to get closer to the scene now that the threat of the explosion has gone down. Conditions today, you can check it out, hazy between the smoke and the fog mixed with the rain. But as you get a closer look at the plant, you can really hardly tell that there were 5 buildings at this location. Just look at this drone shot. It is a bunch of mangled metal. Firefighters have used their ladder truck to dump water over hot spots while a bulldozer has started to move the debris. Now, here are 3 things that we know today about this that we think you should know. That the families have returned to their homes as of last night after being away since Monday. Officials have reduced the evacuation zone from 1 mile around the plant to 660 feet. This new radius only includes a few commercial businesses. The Red Cross closed its shelter at 8 o'clock this morning. Forsyth County environmental officials continue to monitor the air quality conditions, but forecast good conditions through the weekend. The air pollution risk is little to none at this time. Now that crews are able to get closer to the scene, they can begin the investigation into what started the fire. So as firefighters are finally able to get those boots on the ground and give us kind of a bird's eye view as well, families are really thankful to return home.
WFOY News 2's Avery Powell spoke with families who live close to that plant. Avery, are families just happy to be back home?
And Lauren, you can see the crews actually working on the plant behind me here. Now that that evacuation zone has been reduced, some families have been able to return to their homes in Winston-Salem after a long week. Brandon Brown and his wife evacuated with their 6 children earlier this week. They're finally able to go back home and have spent the day airing the house out and cleaning up. Brown tells me they have some concern about potential dangers going forward, but they have trust in community leaders.
We are worried, but we got faith first and foremost, the man upstairs, but also the mayor, the city officials, everybody that's working on it. They say that it's safe, so we're gonna, take that as take it to heart that it's safe. So we're just gonna try to get back to normal.
Tamika George and her family came back to their home today, but they're still not comfortable with sleeping there tonight.
Coming back here, even getting to the stop sign, it kind of brought on anxieties and different kinds of issues with my mom. The smoke, she's concerned about that, her health.
Both families were helped by Carissa Joins and her husband, who organized and fundraised to pay for hotel rooms for those in need. We've also spoken to families who had to pay for hotel rooms out of their pocket. I reached out to the mayor of Winston-Salem today, who told me they are going to be discussing how to help families like that, but first need to figure out the legality of giving out money to private citizens.
All right, thank you, Avery. For families that are returning home, there are some precautions you should take care of for a safe return after that chemical fire. Take your shoes off before going inside. That way, you don't track any particles into your home. And you'll need to clean off play areas in your yard and other items that may be covered in ash. Wear face coverings when you do this, and make sure to clean your air conditioner filter. There's a lot more you can do to keep you and your kids and your pets safe, and we do have all of that information on our website. Our state has made some big strides in recent coronavirus numbers. The number of new daily cases has come down significantly. The state says it learned of about 12,000 cases in the past 24 hours. It's on par with the numbers from the past couple of days, but you'll notice it's well below the numbers from the last couple of weeks. You'll really notice the improvements when we add a 2-week trend line. The dotted line represents the 14-day average. It's come down quite a bit in the past week.
Just last night, Guilford County commissioners met to discuss the latest COVID metrics and precautions. Commissioners decided against proposing any changes. They will assess the situation again in a couple of weeks. If the commissioners do decide to take any kind of action, they must give a 10-day notice before doing so.
Well, get ready for a change. If you notice, the last couple of mornings, cool, not cold. That's about to change as we head into tonight. Notice the front now. We see some showers in southeastern parts of Guilford County throughout Randolph County. Davidson County still has some light rain out there. Some of this may not be making it to the ground in the lighter greens you see there, but most of this, we're saturated for the most part. So you'll see a little sprinkle. In fact, just note that sometimes drizzle or a mist is technically below the radar, so you may see a little bit of rain even though you're not seeing the big green areas over your particular region. This is all part of the frontal system that will be moving through. Behind that, much more cold air, in fact colder than we've seen for a few days for sure. That high pressure will usher our winds in more out of the northwest. That'll shift the winds too. Remember, we've been more out of a southerly direction, which means it's warmer, but that again is about to change. So look for that overnight low tonight. We think around 28 degrees. The rain will taper off, and then highs tomorrow, we'll maybe see some low 40s in the southern Piedmont, but an average across the area will be about 39 degrees. Here's your 7-day outlook. As we go 39 tomorrow, remember winds 10 to 15, maybe 20, and gusting up to 25 for your Saturday. Overnight lows tonight, 28, high 39. Then 23 Sunday morning and a high of 43. We start to rebound a little bit temperature-wise. Some rain, 50-50 shot for Monday. That'll be a cold, rainy day. And then we'll warm back to the 50s, or should be around 51 this time of the year. 50 sunny on Tuesday, 53 partly cloudy Wednesday, and scattered clouds Thursday and Friday. Into the mid-50s we go.
Fort Bragg troops arrived in Germany today. These troops are the first of 2,000 soldiers that will land in Europe after the Pentagon announced U.S. forces will go to Europe to support NATO allies. Some of the troops will form a joint task force headquarters in Germany, while 1,700 paratroopers from the 82nd Airborne Division deployed to Poland. These efforts are in response to the 100,000 Russian troops posted along Ukraine's border.
If you are a true crimes type person, I want you to listen to this because this one is an interesting story. DNA collected from a crime scene more than 3 decades ago may help solve the murders of 4 teenage girls. 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty previews how DNA testing could finally lead to the answers in the yogurt shop murders.
So what is all of this here?
These are my notes.
It's been 30 years since John Jones led the search for the killers of 4 teenage girls in an Austin yogurt shop. He has since retired from the Austin Police Department, but the images of December 6, 1991 remain all too vivid.
I can still see them.
Eliza Thomas, Jennifer and Sarah Harbison, and Amy Ayers had been tied up and shot in the head. Then the yogurt shop was set on fire. A task force worked to find suspects.
We looked at everybody from family members to drifters.
I remember the shock.
Sonora Thomas was 13 years old when her only sibling, Eliza, was murdered.
You just hold on to anything you can to get through these moments that are so impossible.
Open the door! Over the decades, there were arrests, even convictions, but those convictions were overturned. It left Jones and the families in emotional turmoil.
There is a kind of torture that continues by the fact that it's unsolved and it's ongoing.
But there may be hope. Male DNA called YSTR was found on one of the victims. It was an incomplete sample, but with advances in DNA research, there's a chance that the sample obtained 30 years ago may solve this case.
Technological advances in medicine, they are just mind-blowing these days. And wouldn't we all love to hear that we are closer to a cure for even certain types of cancer than ever before? I spoke with oncologist Dr. Elizabeth Skinner with Novant Health about the research and the most recent developments. So, Dr. Skinner, you talk about innovations, and cancer touches everybody, right? We all know someone or related to someone that has been touched by cancer. And with the research, I think it's been so many decades, people get a little discouraged, but there's a lot of good things going on right now. What are you hearing?
There's a lot, and if you look at all of the cancer types, a lot of good things are happening. I specifically am very excited in the field of GYN oncology because we are seeing so many major advancements in terms of the care for women with ovarian cancer, women with endometrial cancer, and cervical cancer. Immunotherapy is something that I think most people are aware of, and I oftentimes talk about the commercials that talk about lung cancer care. Keytruda and other immunotherapy drugs have had a major impact in terms of outcomes for cancers across the different spectrums.
It's amazing to me when we see these stories about, you're getting down to cellular level with some of these gene therapy. Can you talk a little bit about that, and what's happening out there? Because that seems like it's getting us closer to cures.
As we are learning, and as scientists are actually learning more about the molecular level of cancer, we are able to really be more specific in terms of attacking and addressing the problems. This can look at gene therapy that can alter the cells. This also looks at looking at antibody therapy that can directly affect cancer cells. And again, going back to the immunotherapy, this is really exciting because it's actually teaching our bodies to recognize the cancer and letting our bodies fight off the cancer as opposed to other medications which we have historically used with chemotherapy.
I know this may be a huge question and unanswerable, but do you think that we will see a cure at some point? Are we getting that close?
I think that we have to be careful when we talk about the cure for cancer, and that's because cancer comes in so many different forms. But I think that if we look at each individual subtype of cancer, we're getting closer for different ones. And I think that one day there will be certain cancers that we don't see anymore.
Wow, everybody wants to hear that. Thank you so much, Dr. Skinner, for your time today. Good stuff. So I want to tell you, there was an article I saw that I discussed with her. We didn't have enough time to get it all in the interview, but researchers at Tufts University are now taking your own blood cells and with gene therapy, don't ask me, it's above my pay grade, but they make them cancer killers. So the blood cells on a cellular level will go to cancer and stop it from reproducing. And so it stops the cancer. And there was a guy who had leukemia, which normally, I think he said he had 6 months to live when they started this, and now he's cancer-free.
Wow.
So they think that they're like right there for at least that type of leukemia. Now there are lots of subsets of cancer. But
I'm just amazed by
Me
science
too.
and how far we've come, because there's still so much we don't know about cancer, but what we've been able to learn within the last few years is just amazing to me.
And I can't imagine being those people who the light bulb goes off and
I
I
know.
go, ooh, I think this will work to do this.
Yeah.
Can you
Can't even imagine. No.
I know. And she said a lot of what they're doing, immunotherapy, and then that gene therapy I just mentioned, a lot of what they're doing is taking your own cells and retraining them, however that happens, to stop cancer.
Did she talk about the need for people to participate in trials and different things like that so they can do
No,
some of
but
this
you know
research?
that's there. I mean, I would think if I had something, especially like that gentleman that said he had 6 months to live, I'd be the first in line to try whatever it is. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. I have to look into that.
Awesome. Interesting.
Well, moving along, today on U Day, Coach Lamont shares lessons from Wilma Rudolph, an Olympic champion who overcame the odds.
As we kick off the Olympics today, Olympic champion Wilma Rudolph battled and overcame multiple childhood illnesses. You would have thought this setback was enough to hold her bondage to her body, but Wilma found the strength to pull herself through. Now, how did she do it? Told by a doctor she would never walk again and feeling the weight of depression, her mother offered another opinion. She would walk again. By faith, she believed her mother, and Mama was right. 2 opinions, 1 decision. Who are you listening to, and what opinion are they offering you? Like a crossroad, there are always 2 directions your life can go, and that direction is based on what and who you believe. I guess in this case, it was wise for Wilma to seek out that second opinion. This is Coach Lamont. Make today your best U Day. I'll see you tomorrow.
The top-rated job in America might just surprise you. You may not have even heard of it. According to Glassdoor, enterprise architect is considered the top job. The median salary for an enterprise architect is nearly $145,000. Glassdoor lists more than 14,000 job openings for this position on its site.
So I went ahead and asked you on Facebook what job or career you find most desirable and why, and here's what you all had to say. Brandon Funk says world travels, book author, educating through open means of facilitation, agriculture, the list goes on. Christopher Lineberry says anything that makes you happy and does not feel like work but allows for a livable wage to be earned.
I
looked at Tanya while you were saying that. I said travel blogger.
I would love to do that.
Yes.
That would be fantastic.
That's a dream job for you.
It is a dream job for sure. Yes.
What about you?
Oh, I've thought about this so many times. I would love to be, so you're going to laugh at one of them, but in retirement, I wouldn't mind being a part-time Walmart greeter. remember when the always
hi, welcome to Walmart.
Yeah, so just
hi,
say
welcome to
hello
Walmart.
everyone. That would be
I
fun.
love that.
But I would always, and Tanya knows this about me, but I would love to have a tiny little bar where I could just have usuals that come in and I talk to them all the time. I used to say I wanted to be the old bartender at a country club. There's always wiping down, just talking to the guests.
You just like to share stories and
talk.
laughs, right?
Yeah, I would make sure to go to your little bar. Or maybe we can go into business together because.
What do you want to do?
I know that they're having hard times now, but I would love to run a restaurant.
Ooh,
like,
that is tough work.
I know it's a lot of work, but I love to cook. You know, I post all my stuff on social media, so I'd love to be a chef or just own the restaurant.
So we go in together, there's less risk. That's what we do. All right.
Or a personal chef.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that would be nice.
And then you can blog about traveling to our restaurant.
That's right. I would love to do that.
We'll call it
together.
The 4 to the 5.
The 411 on the 425. Yes.
Yes, I like that.
Could do that.
Oh my.
All right, let's talk about our forecast, shall we?
corny.
We've got big changes coming up. Over the next couple of days, actually, we're going to see some big changes. You'll watch the temperatures really start to fall off here as we head into the night. In fact, 20s tonight. You remember this morning, our temperatures were in the 50s. It was actually not that bad. We're at 61 right now in Greensboro, High Point, and Winston-Salem. Walnut Cove at 58. Hey, can you guess where the cold front is? Look here, Boone at 36. And Sanford's at 66. There's a 30-degree spread across central North Carolina. So that cold air will be pushing back down to the south little by little. You can see our winds mostly out of the southwest early. That's why we're more milder on this side of the map. But then back here, if you look up at Boone, the winds are already shifting behind that cold front out of the northwest. Kind of interesting to see there. We've got overnight lows tonight at 28, and then that high tomorrow is only 11-degree difference. Now that shows you how much of that cold air influx we'll see across the region. Usually it's about on a normal situation, we'd have about almost a 20-degree spread and low to a high temperature, but not today. And the rain will taper off, winds pick up, right? So overnight tonight, 10 to 15 miles per hour out of the northwest, gusting up to 20. Kind of the same story tomorrow, but even windier. Gust at 25. I don't think it's a stretch to say we can see a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust tomorrow either. And that'll keep us cold with high temperatures only in the upper 30s. Here's a current look at your radar. A lot of the heavier showers are now exiting to the east. Alamance County probably has the worst of it right now, and then Montgomery County has just widespread light rain across the region with some of the heavier showers now almost to the east of Danville, so moving out of our area. If you go back to the wider shot here, notice clear conditions way back to the west of us. That's courtesy of a high pressure that'll come in behind this front. Notice how it's kind of shifting in from the northwest. That'll keep us chilly through the weekend, and then it moves on to the east. There is another front approaching, but I think that may be more of a Monday rain as we head into that time period. Until then, we're just clearing out and windy and chilly for the weekend. So overnight lows tonight, to recap, at 28 degrees. Rain is ending actually as we speak. Give us another 3 or 4 hours. We'll be done with that. And then clearing tomorrow and 39. Here's your 7-day forecast with a high of 43 and sunny on Sunday. Rainy Monday there, 50-50 shot of rain, but cool with a high of 43. That's below normal. We should be in the low 50s, and that's where we go for Tuesday, Wednesday, with sunny skies Tuesday, partly cloudy Wednesday, and we have a little warming trend, mid-50s, 4 or 5 degrees above normal, not bad. That's for Thursday and Friday with lows around the freezing mark, but dry conditions then. Look for partly cloudy skies as we end next week.
Find mine this morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you got your bread.
Hello. Callie's just saying hello. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hello, Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado.
You can see the smoke coming off of what's left of the Weaver Fertilizer Plant, and some of that smoke
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check.
So it's time for my 2 cents, and today, appropriately so, we're talking about rainy days. We've had 2 rainy days, right? And I don't know about you, but as a Southerner, we're so used to decent weather and maybe a quick storm here or there. I don't like several days of rain. I can't stand it. My wife, Leslie, said that one of her friends, Pam, called her this morning. Is it wrong that I want sloppy joes and mac and cheese for breakfast? The answer is no, because it's raining. And rainy day equals comfort food, at least in my book. I saw an article on Southern Living. It was like recipes for when you don't want to leave the house, right? And that's what we want. We want comfort foods. Why don't we all take a deep breath and look at some beautiful comfort foods? Any kind of soup. That is a go-to on a rainy day. That warm, kind of comforting, takes you back to when your mom used to make warm comfort food meals. Love that. Casseroles, perfect. Once you make it, you can eat on that for a day or two. I think even desserts of all types, to me, those are all comfort foods. I love it. So the bottom line is, rainy day, or snowy day, really, equals comfort foods. Don't feel guilty. Indulge yourself for a day or so. We usually don't get these rainy spells, but for a day or 2, maybe 3 anyway. Have fun with that and then get back at it and work out to get all that off later. But for now, it's raining, people. Go get your casseroles and soups, and I'll meet you at your house. But that's just my 2 cents. And that's your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts now.
Our first clear look at the burned out shell of the Winston Weaver Fertilizer Plant in Winston-Salem.
Firefighters were able to get a handle on the flames and the flammable